Hello all, how is your day? Hopefully we are in the good condition now. Please stay strong, stay healthy, and stay at home. In this video, we will introduce you about ethnocentrism concept in cross-cultural understanding. So, after watching this video, you are expected to explore and understanding ethnocentrism concept in cross-cultural understanding. But before we start to the core material, firstly, we are going to discuss about culture shock. What is culture shock? Culture shock is the feelings of surprise or anxiety that you have when you visit a foreign country or a place for the first time. You will gradually get over your culture shock as you learn more about the local language and the customs. Culture shock can be a very good lesson in relative values and in understanding human differences. The reason culture shock occurs is that we are not prepared for these differences. Because of the way we are taught our culture, we are all ethnocentric. Before we getting the idea of ethnocentrism, people usually finding how do their culture differ from others, besides the language, or extremely we could easily underestimate other culture just based on our perspective. To prevent this misunderstanding, ethnocentrism concept will give you the idea to raise awareness among us to not being ethnocentrism. We all have a natural tendency to look at other cultures through our own lens. Ethnocentrism will happen when we implicitly believe our way doing things and seeing things is right and the only one way. As a result, we could negatively judge other cultures' behavior because it does not conform to our world vision, and this will be cause misunderstanding among cross-cultural. So here we will discuss about ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is a very anything you can do and we can do it better. This is a point of view concerning ethnicity. This term is made up of the Greek root ethnos, meaning a people or group, and centric, meaning the center or middle of something. Thus, it refers to the fact that our outlook or worldview is centered on our own way of life. Ethnocentrism is the belief that one's own patterns of behavior are the best, the most natural, beautiful, right, or important. Therefore, other people, to the extent that they live differently, are perceived as living by standards that are inhuman, unnatural, or wrong. Simply, ethnocentrism is the view that one's own culture is better than all others. It is the way all people feel about themselves as compared to those from other cultures. There is no one in our society who is not ethnocentric to some degree, no matter how open-minded he or she might claim to be. However, it is something we should constantly keep in mind when we study other cultures, so that when we try to make value judgment about another way of life, we can look at the situation objectively and take our bias into account. Here is some characteristic of ethnocentrism as individual perspective. First, identify strongly with in-group ethnicity or culture. Second, feels proud, vain, and superior about in-group. Third, defines their culture elements as correct and natural. Fourth, views economic, political, social events from the point of them in group. Fifth, thinks in group norms are universal than others. Sixth, rejects out group ethnicities and culture. Seventh, feels like other culture is inferior. And lastly, defines other culture elements as incorrect and unnatural.
Now we are going to the example of ethnocentrism. First, example of ethnocentrism in language can be found in the origin of the English word barbarian. Originally a Greek word, it was used to refer to tribes that lived around the age of ancient Greek society. The Greeks referred to these people as barbars because they couldn't understand their speech. Barbar was the Greek word for the sound a dog makes, like the word bow. This is an ancient example of ethnocentrism. The Greeks considered those people to be on the same level as dogs. Because their speech, just like dogs, couldn't be understood, they did not consider such people as human beings. The second, the example for American ethnocentrism. Accent. Yep. Ethnocentric Americans may say that another person has an accent, implying that the other person speaks different strengths and an American. The third, East Country people talk about European drivers driving on the wrong side of the road, while people don't only say the opposite side or even left-hand side, but the wrong side. The fourth, table manner differences. In Asia, the way of eating is to use chopstick with every meal. These people may find it unnecessary to find that people from other countries such as American society that eating use forks, spoons, knives, etc. Since Asian countries use chopsticks to eat every meal, they could find it foolish for other cultures to not use utensils. Similar to chopstick, however, they do accept the fact that they use different utensils for eating. This example is not something extreme that could lead to genocide or war, but it is a large enough gap between these cultures for people to see their way of eating. And how ethnocentrism will lead to misunderstanding. First, ethnocentric views leads to stereotyping. Yup, stereotype. Generalizations about a group of people whereby we attribute a defined set of characteristics to this group can be positive or negative. Example, Canadians say eh. Americans are obsessed and uneducated. Rich people are snobby and members of country clubs. Asians are geniuses and bad drivers. English people drink tea and have bad teeth. Women are bad drivers and emotional. Men are strong and smarter than women. The second, ethnocentrism leads to issues in the workplace and schools when it concerns language. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission received about 228 complaints out of about 9,000 claims of national origin discrimination. Observers say that many more workers who feel silence don't take actions for fear of losing their jobs. Review and conclusion. Ethnocentrism will lead us to make wrong assumptions about cultural differences. We are ethnocentric when we use norms from our culture to make generalizations about other people's cultures and customs. Often we met a conscious awareness that we have used our culture as a universal. This can be the way of base and cause or used to misjudge other peoples. In the end, thinking ethnocentrically reduces another culture's way of life to a version of our own culture. Ethnocentrism only leads to cultural misinterpretations and distorts communications between human beings of different culture. Ethnocentrism thinking really causes us to make wrong assumptions about other people while it leads us to make premature judgments. With this video, we have learned the negative effect of being ethnocentrism. It is natural being for people having ethnocentrism for their own culture and customs. After watching this video, hopefully all of us will raise awareness to not being ethnocentrism and reduce premature judgments for other cultures' way of life and customs. Thank you.